Awesome. I think we are live now. Cool. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to WeSkill Live. My name is Shaurya, and I'm the co-founder of WeSkill. WeSkill is a live online extracurricular learning platform focusing on children from the age group of 4 to 14 and providing them extracurricular learning opportunities for subjects like music, arts, and chess. In today's episode of WeSkill Live, we have with us Ms. Lobna Tari, who is an amazing individual. She is an online educator. She's not just an educator, she's actually Kuwait's first female certified Google educator. She has worked with a lot of online entrepreneurs, and she is just one of the most foremost voices for online education in her region. Thank you so much for taking up the time, Ms. Tariq, and spending your learnings with us.
Well, thank you so much for hosting this space and giving me the opportunity to share what I know and my knowledge and expertise with everyone here, guys. So thank you.
So awesome. This conversation will be focusing on three basic themes. And the first theme is just on pre-pandemic education. The second is on adoption of how educators adopted to online learning. And the third theme is on the way forward as to how should people take this journey. The first part of the conversation is about pre-pandemic education. So how were some of the tools that schools or educational institutes were already using in order to ensure that the education was interactive and engaging, especially K-12 education?
Okay, so I will start by talking about education worldwide first. In most of the schools, teachers were still teaching the traditional way, as you know. Most of the students did not get the chance to bring their own devices to school. My school was somehow different here in Kuwait. I'm talking about just all the schools in Kuwait. Our school was one of the first schools to let the students bring their own devices. Our students have their iPads, and we started this even before the pandemic. But for other schools, I know quite well that teaching was still the traditional way. Teachers used to just like go to the class and sometimes lecture. If they wanted to do a group activity, they would be printing papers and distributing those papers among the students, moving their desks and chairs, making them sit in groups so that they foster collaboration in the classroom and so on. But with having those iPads or the devices in class, things were completely different. And that was before the pandemic. And I'm mentioning that so that you would know how this helped a lot when the pandemic hit and we had to stay home. Our students were familiar with using devices, tech tools, so they did not find this hard. But for other schools, what happened is that those parents and teachers who were resistant to change and did not really want to learn about new tech tools and did not want their kids, for example, as for parents, to use devices, they started to be open more to this whole idea of starting online learning, students started learning about different tech tools. Teachers started leveling up their tech skills. I know of so many teachers who started going for certification programs, collecting digital badges. They started competing, you know. I'm, for example, a certified Adobe Educator Level 1. And then you find another one saying, I'm a certified Adobe Educator Level 2, I'm a Google Certified Educator Level 1. And then you see someone else going for Level 2, another going for the trainer program, coaching program, and so on. So teachers started competing. And that is why I believe for the pandemic, even though it has its own negative impact on so many different sectors, but for education, it had its positive impact. Honestly, it made everyone start learning, competing. So you would see the difference everywhere in education and like on teachers, students, parents, everyone. That is pre-COVID. And after COVID too.
I think that's very interesting what you're talking about, especially how COVID really challenged educators to adapt and improve what they were doing earlier. But if we talk about from a institution perspective as to how the educational institutions were in a pre-COVID scenario.
Mhm.
Because I don't know how it happens in Kuwait, but in India, most of the education institutes were not very tech savvy. Like a lot of the content, a lot of the assessment was very physical, paper based. So how was it happening in your school, even before the pandemic? You're saying students were allowed to bring the iPad. So were engagement activities, homework, tech driven?
Yeah, definitely. I will tell you about those tools that we've used that really helped. But at the
Yeah,
same time, we cannot blame those teachers in India. We cannot
yeah,
blame teachers
yeah,
who took some time to adapt to the situation because, like, we all face this. I'm talking
yeah,
about one school in a certain country, but we're
yeah,
talking about the whole world trying to adapt and go on with educating students, but by using tech tools, which they are
yeah,
not familiar with, you know?
absolutely.
But some of the tools that really helped, if we're talking about um, present tools, because these are tools that teachers basically use. They need presentation tools, right? They need students, they need to be presenting, they need their students to focus with them. And we know that for high school specifically, and when we started with online learning, whether on Google Meet, on Zoom, on Microsoft Teams, you will see students switching off their cameras. They don't want to
Yeah,
participate. Teachers doing their best to try to engage those students, you know. But there are some tools like Pear Deck, Nearpod, and those are tools that I really love. Quizzes lesson just like
yeah,
is a released update for quizzes that we started using as well. Those three tools are interactive presentation tools. It is not just that the teacher is sharing her or his screen with the presentation slides and lecturing and explaining to the students. No, students join those presentations by using codes,
yeah,
and they have the presentation opened in front of them on their own devices, and they get to interact with the teacher. So the teacher can be adding a drawing slide, students can start brainstorming, can start drawing on the slide, and teachers get to see all of the students answers. Teachers can let some questions just pop up on the students devices so that they test the students understanding. So we're talking about students switching off their cameras, but at the same time teachers are able to see that they are focused, they are on task, they are just like answering, engaging, you know, with the teacher.
yeah,
If we're talking about collaboration, because we needed students to work together, they
yeah,
have some projects where you would have 4 or 5 students working together. In class, as I said, teachers used to print papers, distribute them among the students,
yeah,
and they used to sit and like brainstorm and so on. But now you do have tools like, for example, tablets. You have tools like Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Drawings, all of those tools, you just share the link with the students on any learning management system, like Google Classroom, for example. Once the students click on the link, they all open the same slide, the same document. They start collaborating and working together. Do you get me?
yeah.
So
No,
students
absolutely.
were able to collaborate as well, even
Yeah,
during the online learning. Yes,
yeah. No, I think what you are saying is very relevant, and this is something that we've even seen as to also the kind of age group of people who we're dealing with, right? The future generations are a lot more tech savvy than us, and the way they adapted to tech is just amazing. It's like a fish to water. But
yeah, it was
the
much easier for students.
yeah,
Yes, you're right.
it was I think it was much more difficult for parents to see how easy was it for the students. Yeah, and
Exactly, yes.
yeah, and that's something that we've even seen with a lot of our learners as well. But I mean, there are two basic elements to online or in-class experience. One is the class delivery, right? Second is the class evaluation. If you can share some of your learnings or insights about the class delivery as to how did instructors or how did educators make it more engaging. Yes, assignments, group tasks is one solution, but like how did they make it a lot more interactive for students? uh, yeah, if you could just share some insights on that.
I would tell you that again, companies, not just teachers, companies were competing
Yeah,
against each other, you know?
yeah,
Yes, they started competing, they started adding features every now and then. So whenever you open a certain tool, you would find a new feature like an interactive live whiteboard. You would find a feature that enables you to for example, add different types of questions to your presentation. So they started competing as well, making it easier for the teachers to test the students' understanding during the online session itself. And they did not really need to assign a lot of homework for their students, No, everything happened during the online session. There is an amazing tool, which is Edpuzzle. That tool enabled teachers to create videos. And I have students who love watching videos. And that tool enables teachers to know which part of the video did the students really watch, which part did they skip. Yes, they are able to insert interactive questions to test the students' understanding. You can take it over for like a live mode during class instead of assigning it as homework as well. So teachers found everything ready thanks to companies. Tech companies did their best to provide teachers with everything, believe me. So whenever you just like dreamed of having a certain feature, the next day you would just find it there. And by the way, tech companies listened to teachers. Many tech companies used to have that Google form for teachers to just like suggest new features, and they listened. Whenever they get some suggestions, they just went for it and provided teachers with whatever they wanted, So that enabled teachers to be able to evaluate their students online and during that online learning. And by the way, there's an amazing tool that is called Mote. I guess you've heard of it. It is a Chrome extension that works on providing students with verbal feedback. Students sometimes do not really want to see you typing, for example, amazing, great job. When they read it, it is like different than when they hear the teacher saying it, And sometimes you would like to provide detailed feedback or detailed evaluation. Typing this is time consuming for the teachers and time consuming for students to be reading a whole paragraph of you providing feedback on their work. So that Chrome extension Mote enables you to record your voice, providing students with your feedback. And by the way, there's a transcript that gets uploaded automatically once you record your voice without you needing to type it. So for students who would like to hear you providing the feedback, they can listen to your recording. Students who would like to be reading what you've written, they can go for the transcript so that they would just check if they missed something during the recording. So yeah, we had everything available, providing feedback or evaluation for the students using verbal tools. We used interactive presentation tools like Curate and Nearpod, as I told you, quizzes lesson as well. We had interactive videos like Edpuzzle. Nearpod has this feature as well, enabling teachers to provide students with interactive videos. We had tools that would enable students to brainstorm, like Google Drawings, like Padlet, like, for example, so many of Google tools like Google Slides, Docs. So teachers had everything: presentation tools, brainstorming apps, feedback tools. So we did not really find it hard to transition from teaching in the classroom to online teaching, and even some teachers became ambassadors for those tools, by the way. And they started creating reels just like me. I started creating reels for those tools that I really love and sharing them on my Instagram page, Tech Space, with other educators. And they started asking questions. How do I use it? I love this. I would like to use it with my students. So educators have helped each other, by the way. So it is not just attending webinars or going for some course programs. No, we were able to hold PD sessions in a very short time, helping each other and sharing knowledge and expertise.
I think this is wonderful. I think one thing that what I get from your conversation, something I've really seen talking to a lot of Indian educators as well, is just how helpful they were for each other. Like if someone would discover a solution, they would instantly share it with their community so that they can adapt it for their students. I think that's how a lot of people have really adapted and have come collectively to solve this problem for online education.
And by the way, this pandemic period enabled me to get to know so many educators, especially in India. Clubhouse, for example, has amazing Indian educators who host amazing rooms there, and they share their knowledge and expertise with others. On Instagram, you would find amazing entrepreneurs from India and Google trainers as well, whom I benefit from. And I ask them about the Google coaching program and innovator program, and they are so helpful, and they share their knowledge and expertise with others in a very creative way, by the way. Through Reels, they host Twitter spaces, rooms on Clubhouse. They go live on YouTube on their own YouTube channels as well. So it was just amazing, as I told you. Yeah, the pandemic had its amazing positive impact on education and educators.
Yeah. But where do you see this going forward? I mean, do you still, like, once things open up, once the pandemic subsides, do you foresee that a lot of the behavioral changes or the tools that have been implemented for education, do you think that people are going to be using them, or do you think everyone will go back to the traditional means of education that were existing earlier?
It is like an addiction, you know. Once you start using, once you start using those tech tools, come on, who would like to go back and start like working on a paper-based environment one more time? Like, tools make it easier for you. Now students have their own devices. When they go back to school, they will be bringing their own devices there. You're able to create a QR code activity where students would rotate in stations and scan the QR codes and work on a certain interactive activity, and then the teacher would just whistle and the student would be like moving to another station, scanning another QR code activity, working on a question, providing an answer. Teachers would be using those amazing interactive presentation tools in class. Students would be following on their own devices. Teachers cannot get back to how education used to be before the pandemic. It's over, you know? And by the way, this is what happened in our schools too. We went back to physical attendance. And teachers in classes are completely different now. You see, students are completely different as well. Students are familiar with all the tech tools teachers are using. Even if teachers came up with a new tech tool, students are so absorbed into learning, and they just learn it in a blink, and they are able to just cope as fast as they can. And that's one thing that we kept in our school is the parent-teacher online conference. That is something that we kept from the online learning phase. Even though we are attending physically, students coming to school, teachers are in the classrooms, but during the parent-teacher meeting, we enable parents to book appointment slots using two tools. We use Google Meet, and parents, they can book the appointment slots using Google Calendar. And we use Calendly as well, which is another tool that we use. And I guess like most of the schools use Calendly. So that, parents would be booking appointment slots and meeting with teachers online. We found out that it is more organized. Parents have a specific time where they meet the teacher. They just click on the link. They just like go there. They are able to see the teacher, discuss certain points. After that, parent is done with the meeting, another would click on the same link, and so on. Back at school, used to have those numbers printed, and the parent taking a number and then going to meet another teacher, going back to find that someone else took that parent's turn, you know? No, it was not so organized. So that pandemic helped those conferences to be more interactive and amazing. They became much better, you know? So yes.
But so there's one criticism that online education faces, at least that's something that we have come across quite often, is that with more interaction of online space or more using more gadgets, the attention span for children has gone down because there's just so much distraction which is out there. So how have you faced that with your students, and is that, or do you think it is a problem?
You mean during online learning or after we went back to physical attendance?
I mean, during online learning per se, and just that the whole psyche is now, I mean, because they become so tech centric. So the more gadget exposure, more tech exposure to children at a younger age, there is a growing concern regarding lowering of attention span. So do you think,
as I told you, Sharia, tech tools started like releasing updates for their, for example, online conferencing apps. day by day. It took time. In the beginning, if we're talking about the very beginning, yes, teachers faced difficulty doing that, especially that I'm someone who used to be using Google Meet for my um, sessions. And in the beginning, and before Google Meet starts releasing those amazing updates that are available right now, you used to have or you used to face difficulty muting your students if you wanted to. They can unmute themselves whenever they wanted to, which made us at a certain point transition to Zoom because we wanted to find something that has those features that we need, So yes, it was. And you used to, those teachers who transitioned to Zoom wanted to use the live whiteboard, interactive whiteboard to find students using their pen icon, drawing on the screens. And they were like, oh my God, what is happening? Stop drawing. And they started shouting. Students are not stopping. So we faced some difficulties. And it is completely normal, by the way. As an EdTech coach in my school, when I used to receive a call with there's a teacher facing a problem with students drawing on the screen and oh my God, and do something to find a solution. I'm like, it's okay. This will happen. But by time, we're going to be able to overcome all of those problems. So as I told you, it took time for the teachers to be able to know those tools that are going to be helping in making sure that the students are focused, attentive, using interactive tools, like all of those tools that I mentioned earlier, that would enable the teacher to know the students are paying attention, even though the cameras are off. Because for lower grade levels, it is easy for a teacher to tell them, switch on your cameras. They will. They are used to obeying orders and listening to teachers. For higher grade levels, they're all in bed. They don't feel like, being in the online session from the first place. So trying to convince them to have their cameras on was a very hard task. So at least using an interactive presentation tool where you have students drawing on a slide or answering a certain question and you see that you would know quite well that they are paying attention even though their cameras are off. So it's okay. You would just feel that you have this power to keep on going, because teachers are behind the screen and they have no idea what is going on, how students are behaving in their houses. Are they paying attention? Are they even looking at the screens? So they needed those tools to make sure that they are paying attention even though the cameras are off, they really helped.
No, I think this is very interesting. And so WeSkill is an online extracurricular learning platform. I mean, if you could share some of the tools that educators use for, let's say, some physical learning activities or non-curriculum learning activities. So if you just share some of your experiences dealing with educators.
Some online tools, you mean, right?
Yes.
I would tell you some of the best tools that I really love, and those are the tools that I share on my Instagram page with educators. Before I share them with you, I would like to tell you and deliver a message to all educators who are listening to us that using so many tech tools is not the right thing. And that is what I keep on telling my teachers. It is important that you use only some tools, specific tools that would be helping you, because if you use so many tech tools, you would be overwhelmed. You would be overloaded. You will feel like, oh my God, I need to hop on this tool or this app so that I check my students' assignments, and I need to check what the students did on that one, and so on. So many different tech tools are similar. For presentations, I would go for quizzes lesson. That is the best presentation tool that I've used so far. I used Pear Deck, Nearpod, and I truly love them, by the way. And I'm an advocate for Pear Deck and Nearpod. But quizzes and this whole company really worked hard to provide educators with all the features they need. Teachers are able to create a whole lesson on quizzes. If they already prepared a PowerPoint presentation or a Google Slides presentation, they are able to import it to quizzes and make it interactive by adding some slides with some questions. They can add a multiple choice question. They can add fill in the blanks, a drawing slide for students to draw. They have a poll feature as well for students to vote on something. And there is a new feature that is called a live whiteboard. And that feature enables the teacher to just open a live whiteboard whenever they want it to during the lesson and add a certain background, for example, for the students to draw on or ask a certain question, the students start brainstorming and drawing a diagram, whatever. It also has this amazing feature that is called teleport, that enables teachers to go and check on other presentations and quizzes prepared by other teachers on the exact same tool, which is quizzes, that I really love. So quizzes, for me, it is the number one presentation tool this year with all the amazing updates that got released.
Yeah.
For the videos, I would say, or the screencasting tools, I would say Screencastify, which is my favorite, and I would say Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle, because Edpuzzle has its own curriculum for elementary, middle, and high school. And you find ready-made videos there with ready inserted interactive questions. So you're able to take that video, just watch it with the interactive questions, make sure that those are the questions that you want. You can edit any video, add the answers that you need. After you do, you assign to the students. The best part and what makes it different than YouTube is that students are not able to skip any part of the video. Even if they try to, it is blocked. They cannot. And they are going to like test their understanding. And the best thing is that they have the audio responses enabled there. If a student wants to, for example, respond using audio, they're able to do that. Some teachers love creating tutorials for their students. Screencastify is the tool for that. It is the best tool ever. And according to an updated release by Screencastify, they have the ability to enable teachers to know how many views they got on any video that they share. They are able to edit, they are able to add any blurry part if they would like to cover part of their presentation but keep the others. So there are so many amazing features on Screencastify. So we talked about screencasting tool, presentation tool. We talked about what else? I can share with you one more tool, which is Padlet. Padlet is an interactive whiteboard, you can say, and students add sticky notes to it, which I really love, especially in any discussion. So Padlet is one of the best tools as well. So those are basically the tools that I use in my classroom. And I would definitely recommend that teachers would go for QR code activity in their classroom where they will be printing the QR code activities, but students will be using their own devices, iPads, for example, to scan those QR codes, find a certain question, and then they answer the question on their iPad or on a piece of paper, and they keep on like transitioning from one station to another.
Different levels,
it is very interactive. Yes, they will just love it. So those are the best tools for me.
No, I think this is super. Some of the tools, yes, we've used. Some of the tools are new for us, and we will definitely check them out and try and see if they really help in improving the whole overall.
And I can't forget Moat. Don't forget about Moat. That Chrome extension that enables teachers to leave verbal feedback. This is the best.
Yeah. No, I think that's wonderful. Just one last question that is something that I really am interested in understanding from your perspective is that there are obviously certain education institutions or certain environments who are privileged enough and who have the access to good tools, or whether educators also have access. But there are also a lot of students who during the pandemic did not get access to good quality education, or where the students cannot afford good quality devices. So what are some of the free learning resources, if you could please, if you could suggest to some of the listeners or some of the educators who can share with their students? Because students have, like, yes, who had the benefit, who had the privilege, got access to good education, but a lot of them did not. So what are some of the resources that you could point out or point the listeners to if they want to learn some new skill or develop some new ability?
So we're talking about students who have their own devices or students who do not?
Even if they have their own device, yes.
Okay, so listen, for all the tech tools that teachers use and all companies cannot provide premium features only. Because as you said, not everyone is able to convince the whole institution to go premium, you know? I tried to convince my own institution to go premium for Pear Deck and Nearpod. Okay. But I know for other schools, they did not do that, and
Yeah.
teachers had to pay for the premium subscription themselves.
Yeah.
But at the same time, all of those tools have their own free features as well. So
Okay.
don't worry,
Yeah.
teachers will find free resources everywhere. And
Yeah.
like going premium is a choice. I teach
Yeah.
economics, and life is just like a choice. You would make your own decision. You would find interactive tools, the free tools everywhere. Pear Deck admits that the free features are just the beginning. But the free
It is.
features they are perfect. Can you hear me? Can you still hear
Yeah.
me?
I can hear you. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So as I told you, like those tools have their own free features. So
Yeah.
for Pear Deck, there are some sort of interactive slides that teachers add. All of them
Yeah.
are free, except for the drawing slides and the draggable slide only. But
Yeah.
the multiple choice, fill in the blanks, the website slide, all of those are free slides that anyone can use if any teacher has a Gmail. As
Yeah.
for Nearpod, and by the way, not even Gmail only, Microsoft as well. If you have
Outlook.
any Microsoft account, you can be using those tools too, by the way. We
Yeah.
provide them for all. Even
Yeah.
for Nearpod, you're able to use all the features on Nearpod for free, but you have a certain storage. Once you reach that limit, you would have to delete from the lessons that you created
Yeah.
so that you would be able to create more lessons.
More
If you
lessons.
want
Yeah.
more storage, you would have to go premium. So as I told you, all the tools have free resources.
Yeah.
Every single tool. You would never find a premium tool. Never.
Yeah.
Because if any tech company thought of just having a premium tool for teachers, how would that company guarantee to have students or teachers or the whole institution to go for it?
Yeah.
Never, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But when you start using those free tools, you would love to go premium. I
Yeah.
pay for some tools myself, by the way.
Okay.
When my school does not go premium for some tools, I decide to pay for them because
Yeah.
I feel like I need those tools to be available for my students.
Yeah.
I want them to be enjoying those tools. So don't
Absolutely.
worry, even teachers, students who are not able to pay or go premium for certain tools, they would be finding some interactive and amazing tools on different platforms.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that just is and that what really should sum up this discussion, that if educators are willing to put in the effort to look for alternate solutions where they can really make the session a lot more interactive, they will find it. There are enough products in the market
Definitely.
who are going to be helping them
Definitely.
out. Yeah, I
And
think
they go
this is
on social media, by the way, Instagram, TikTok. They will find so many educators like posting videos 24/7, sharing
yeah,
all of those tools that they need.
yeah. I think this is wonderful. I think this has been a very educative discussion for me, when I've learned about a lot of different tools and a lot of best practices that perhaps you were using in your institution and what you've learned through your experiences. And we'll definitely try and adopt some of these tools into our learning pedagogy. But I think, Lobna, this has been a wonderful discussion. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, and we hope that some of the people who have been listening have taken something positive from this feedback. You can always reach out to Lobna. We'll share her Instagram handle in the description, and you can connect with her. And we've been following her content for some time now, and there's so much to learn from her. Just the passion that she brings in her style of teaching, that's just amazing. And thank you, and that's it for today's session. We'll soon be back next week with another session of WeSkill Live, where we will be learning from educators across the globe on different topics relating to children, child development, and education. Thank you so much, Lobna. Take care, stay safe, and
Thank
hopefully
you.